today, why I'm here is to introduce you, is to talk to you about certain things which are necessary if you want to make a career out of short, creative writing, or if you want to get into publishing and things like that. And nowadays, it's very, very lucrative. It's not that difficult as once upon a time. So you live in the heart of English literature, and for you, English is your native tongue, most of you, right? For me, it's my second language. For you, it's like you've grown up there, where great masters of writing, great literators, they mastered the art of writing. And to master the art of writing, of course, you need talent. As I've been telling you time and again, talent is very necessary. That spark within you. But more than talent, what you need is your work, how you actually put in your work into it. It's a kind of a kind of a routine. You have to do it daily. You have to. Uh, you should never give up. You have to go through it daily. So towards the end, I will also give you certain venues where you can actually submit. Actually, I have sent the link to Prakash. Prakash can actually share that link to uh, all of the participants here, because for youngsters and teenagers also there are so many journals who accept work, who publish work. And why do you need to get published? We'll talk about it later. So today, what I'll be like dealing with certain things which are necessary technically for writing creative. Right now, if you have that spark of seed, and some people are more involved, and some of you are little laid back. But I know that all of you are talented. All of you have that spark within you, and now it's up to you to take it forward. Either you can actually stop it here, and you can. I'm sure you'll be like aspiring for so many other professions as well. But then you can always keep writing as a hobby, or you can even see nowadays things have actually changed in certain ways, that in many ways that you can in fact take upon creative writing uh, as a very lucrative job if you want to. But besides that, even if you are actually keeping it as a hobby, even if you want to write as a hobby, to write every day, write meticulously is very, very important. Have you ever faced what is called a writer's block? Let us chat, if you can chat to me here. Have you faced writer's block? Anugraha, you haven't faced?
Uh,
No. What about Amy?
yes.
Yes. What about Alan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Emil? Okay, you can just chat to me if you don't want to unmute yourself. All
Oh,
right.
I didn't realize I was unmuted.
Uh, there should not
Pardon?
be any problem. Like let's talk if you
Yeah,
want to
let's
talk.
talk. I think
Everyone,
talking
please
is better.
unmute. Please unmute.
Yeah,
This is the discussion
because
time.
yeah, let's have that kind of discussion. Basically, I'm not going to take a class. I'm going to tell you certain things so that if you have any doubts, and if you have any inferences from those, then we can clear them out and we can talk about it. So, if many writers have told me that there's something called writer's block, and people, writers usually, they're unable to write for days and days together, sometimes years altogether. Some writers have also actually faced a lot of complexities in life because of this thing called writer's block. The inability to touch a pen and just go on writing. So there's some kind of a kind of an occupational hazard that every writer face. So I have actually asked many people, how many writers, Indian and foreign writers, uh, who in fact who have circumvented those problems, those hazards, okay, who have actually got out of what you call writer's block. And that most of them told me, almost unanimously in the same voice, most of them told me writing regularly is very, very important to, in fact, keep off your writer's block. It's like, if you go to a gym once in a while, it becomes very difficult, right? So all your muscles will ache, and for a couple of days, you won't be able to get up um, or walk, or all your muscles will ache. So it's the same thing. To stop writing altogether, and then if you pick up writing, um, then there'll be lots of problems you face to, in fact, begin with. Now, many writers, they say that keeping on writing, even if it's 2 lines, keeping a journal, keeping a diary is very, very important. Or keeping small notebooks. How many of you do that?
Me.
Me.
We all love notebooks, yeah.
All of you do that. Most of Kangana, you do that. Gautam, do you?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Very good, Anne Maria.
Yeah.
So, keeping a journal, keeping diaries, though it's like it's very good to trigger your writing, you can keep on writing, but there's a big risk that your siblings may steal and read. Do they do that?
I write my everyday life in it every day.
Oh, okay. Does your brother or sister steal and read it? Is there a risk?
Sometimes, but I don't allow it.
That's good. When I was a kid, I used to write diaries too. Okay, I used to write about all my crushes there and all. And my brother was such a pet. I smell it out, and he in fact used to read it, and he used to embarrass me. And what I did, I made an alphabet of my own. It's a silly alphabet. What can a 13-year-old do? So I made an alphabet of my own, and I started writing diaries. And then I went on a vacation holiday somewhere to my uncle's house, and my brother, he somehow fished my diary out, and then he decoded the entire thing, and I had crushed on 5 boys. Okay, and that's like all those distinct Kerala is like that. You have only one-way crushes. It's like you don't have two-way crushes and all, and it was a big sin and all. And then my brother decoded the entire thing, and then he told my father. So when I came back from vacation, I really got nice beatings from my father. So it's not that good, but then I can never forget that. But afterwards, I just kept my diary under lock and key, and I used to write diary till I was doing my PhD. Now I keep diaries just to note down things and all. So I hope you don't have such big risks and such big pesky brothers or sisters or anything. But even if you have, that's absolute. You have.
Yeah, my brother. He's elder than me.
My brothers was elder.
Yeah.
But then it was really nasty. Okay, my father really whipped me with a belt and all, and I'm still hurt about that. I still tell my father that whatever you've done is really not good. It's actually abuse and all. Of course, he doesn't understand because he belongs to another generation altogether. But then, anyway, but this is a story I'm telling you, okay? Now, don't let it out. Now, so keep all those things, keep them under lock and key, because later on, when you are of my age and all, you can actually read them and perhaps enjoy yourself. But it's also a very good exercise in improving your vocabulary, your skills, etc. All right. So that writing regularly, and I'm sure you do your vocabulary things. You learn new words. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems human mind can actually learn 7 new things every day. So 7 new words, if you can do, if you can learn, that'd be fabulous. And it's like, even if it'll take a whole lifetime for you to learn all the English words and all, because you have millions of words, right? And Oxford Dictionary is a dictionary which adds 50,000 words every year to its vocabulary. So every year there are around 50,000 words added, and 2-3 years before IO was added, a lot of Asian words are also added to its vocabulary. So Malayalam words are also there in Oxford Dictionary, like choir, COIR. It's from Kair. Okay. Then catamaran. Have you heard of catamaran? Must have read about that, no? It's a single log wood which actually floats on water, and people row, and for small fishing enterprises and all, they use it in villages and all. So it's called catamaran. It's from kattamaram in Tamil. So plenty of Indian words also, they've actually taken Indian, Japanese, Chinese, African, all kinds of words. Wherever these British people go, they borrow those words, and that's why it's like it's expanding its vocabulary every year, and that's why the language is also so dynamic. Okay. Now, so technically, uh, writing every day, learning new words. Of course, you guys read a lot. I know the book review, participation that I have seen from each and everyone is astounding, and you guys read a lot. And I know your reading progresses from one to the other, right? What kind of reading do you like? Do you like fantasy? Do you like adventure? Do you like horror?
Fantasy.
Fantasy and adventure.
Okay,
I
then
like horror and like
horror. Oh god,
gory,
I'm so scared.
scary stuff.
Pardon?
I like fantasy. Fantasy is very cool.
Okay,
Horror.
horror. So many for horror and so many for fantasy. Fine. I get scared when I read horror books. Movies and all, for one whole week, I really get rattled by it. So it's like I really admire people who can watch horror, write horror, and read horror without any of their bones being rattled. So
I'm
hats off.
actually really scared of like watching it, which is why I read it. I don't know
And
why, but
you don't get scared when you read it?
no, not that much. But I like the thrill.
Yeah, watching
Oh,
it is scary.
Yeah, watching it is a little bit more scarier for me.
oh
I
dear.
can't watch it.
I, I can't either
I just
watch
run
it.
away.
I can't either watch it or read it, because at night, I won't be able to sleep for an entire week. I've just grown like this, like an adult. Okay, so deep inside, I'm actually worse off than you in many things. So, and that's very good. That's like keep the child in you, and that's very good for writing. You can see actually the world from a very different perspective altogether. Sometimes when you actually grow up as an adult, you lose the entire, twang of watching the world from those very innocent kids are not very innocent, but quite innocent eyes. Now, I will also today introduce you to certain technicalities of writing a short story. Okay? Do you want to talk about short story, or do you want me to talk about poems? Poems we can have another class. Okay?
Short stories.
Short stories. Fine. And there is, see, can I share the screen? There's a certain pattern to a short story. A short story or a novel, usually most of the writers, they design a short story like a pyramid. Do you know why? How can they be done? Do you know why?
Maybe it's like what order they're gonna go in.
Pardon?
Maybe for the layout or the form that they're going to write. Maybe it helps
Oh,
them go
yes.
down the
Yeah.
pyramid. Maybe.
Uh-huh. It's a kind of form, yes. But do you know what kind of form this is? Why pyramid? And why not a square? Why not a circle? Why not a triangle? Because, see, there was this guy called Aristotle who used to write 2000 years back, okay? He was a Greek philosopher, he was a Greek mathematician, he was scientist, all of this put together. But basically, he was a philosopher. He used to write and speak about everything. And he used to say that a story, you know, should have a kind of a pyramid like a story. Those days, short story as a genre had not actually appeared. Fine. There were these dramas during those times, those bloodthirsty dramas. I don't know if you have ever heard about them, but there was this Sophocles and Aeschylus and Euripides, and these were the big stalwarts, the writers of those times, okay? The Greek writers, and they used to write dramas mostly. And the dramas were basically about, kings fighting a war and a queen. There's this very famous story about a queen, Helen. Have you heard of her? Helen of Troy was supposed to
Yes.
be the. Yes.
Sorry, who caused the Trojan War?
Pardon?
Who caused the Trojan War?
Oh yes. How can people forget her? Because she's the one who she eloped with Paris, a very young guy, and she caused the Trojan War. And that was one of the favorite themes. And there was this theme about Oedipus the king. Oedipus the king was written by Sophocles. The heart-wrenching story. Do you know about that? It's
Yeah.
from there. It's from there you have Oedipus complex. Okay, Oedipus complex is they say that boys get very much attracted to mothers, and girls get very much attracted to fathers. They become the kind of role models all their lives. And Freud, later on, Sigmund Freud, adopted these names, Oedipus and Electra complexes, from Greek mythology, from these Greek uh, dramas, and he used it later on. All right. So Oedipus was so, not that he was so attached, but then there was this big tragedy which happened in life. He was cursed, and without knowing, he married his mother. And then when he came to know about it, he killed his father and married his mother because he never knew that they were his parents. He was abandoned because there was a kind of a prophecy saying that he is going to commit patricide, that is a murder of the king or murder of father, and father abandoned him, wanted to kill him, but he landed up in another kingdom. And then later on, when he grew up, he came to this kingdom, killed the father, and married the mother. And when he came to know about it, he was so sad and he was so uh, repentant. And then what happened was that, he just gouged his eyes off, he became blind, and he became so cursed, and he killed himself. So it's a very tragic story. So
Oh,
these were the guys who used to write, yeah. And he, in fact, uh, yes, Vipin is making lots of faces online. No problem. Um, See, he said that every story, almost all the plots have a kind of a pyramid-like structure. Pyramid-like structure is always as an introduction. The introduction is like called exposition. Okay, I'll just tell you certain technical terms today so that it will be useful somewhere. Maybe if it's boring, tell me. I'll switch over. Called exposition is the introduction. Okay, so that is like the beginning. How do I draw? So here you had the exposition. Do you remember Harry Potter, the first series? You remember there was this guy, there was this orphan boy. He
sorry.
used to, yeah, you remind me, I forgot the entire story. But uh, J.K. Rowling is a person who writes perfect triangle, she crafts perfect triangular plots. So do you remember he was living with his step parents?
Auntie and uncle who were muggles.
Oh, with marbles, absolutely. But he didn't know about marbles and all then, right?
Vernon and
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Eh, Yeah.
then what happened? Where was he living? Where was his room? Under the stairs or something?
Yeah, he
Cupboard.
was under the stairs in a
Yes,
cupboard.
there was his cupboard. And he also had a cousin.
Dudley.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that. So that's like you're introducing the entire thing. So we come to know that there's this boy Harry Potter. He's got a stepfather, stepmother who is his aunt and uncle, and he's got a stepbrother. I mean, he's got a cousin Dudley, who's quite greedy and things like that. He lives in a cupboard and he lives a miserable life. There's some kind of sadness around him, and we're introduced to that. Fine, that is called the exposition. It is a proper introduction which tells you who the character is and what the character is, where he is from or where she is from, where does she live, all those kind of details which gives you which makes you interested in the entire thing. Okay, so this is the crux of it. You have to make that person interested in the entire thing. The exposition is good, then obviously people will read through, or else they'll throw the book away, or your story away. And then after exposition, you have something called the rising action. Okay, that is the second point out here. Rising action. Can you remember any rising action? Harry Potter, let's take Harry Potter because I'm sure all of you have read it.
the rising action is when Hagrid comes and tells him he's a wizard. He's told
Pardon?
magic.
Ah, yes. He gets a letter from
Yes, that bit.
right?
Hogwarts.
And then they try and run away to a shark.
Okay, okay. And who's the one who sends him the letter? He gets it
McGonagall.
through a messenger.
Hagrid.
So something happens and he's told that he has to attend classes from now on, to attend school in Hogwarts. And this guy is like all worried. Then he comes to know that he's something. What is he?
A wizard.
A wizard, yes, a wizard. And we are also informed. For first time, we also know, oh, okay, he's not an ordinary boy. He's a wizard, right? And that is called the rising action. So after exposition, oh dear, sorry, but my drawing skills out here, you have the second point, which is called the rising action. Okay, rising action tells you everything about, what is going to happen. So it just builds up the kind of suspense. First one is exposition, second is rising action. Can you guess the third one?
Rising action.
Sorry. Third one is something we really, really know and we love it. It's called the climax, right?
Oh, yeah.
Movies and all, we really get rattled by climax. Sometimes you look forward with horror people, adventure and all. Climax is the most important thing. So this is where you see the action leads to some kind of suspense, fine, and some kind of big intrigue and suspense and some kind of uh, action is needed there. Okay, so uh, what is the climax in that? The first one.
What, like the most like climactic scene?
Yes, that is. You remember in the first scene, Harry goes to Hogwarts, first book. Harry goes to Hogwarts. He makes friends there. He meets two other friends there. He meets Professor Snape, who is very, very mean to him, right?
Yeah.
Snape. Snape, sorry. Yeah. And then, of course, he makes friends.
It's either the scene where he sees Voldemort drinking blood, or the Quirrell scene,
Oh,
the end bit.
who was that talking?
Me.
Okay.
Gautam is
So,
talking.
yes, Gautam.
Yeah.
Okay. I can. Oh, yeah, Gautam. So, do you remember the first book?
Yeah, I remember the first book.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you know the climax scene? Climax scene is the scene where all of you put on some kind of suspense, and you'll always think, "What's going to happen? What's going to happen?"
I think it's when they're in the forest, where they go for punishment.
More than that, it's like there's this Professor Quirrell
Oh yeah,
who tries.
Quirrell when he gets Voldemort in his head.
Yeah, and he tries to
Kill
steal the Philosopher's Stone.
and kill Harry.
He tries to kill Harry. That's the climax. So all of us are like wondering what's going to happen to Harry. He's going to get killed. Who's the real offender there? Who's Quirrell, by the way? Right? We all used to think he's the professor. Yeah, Amy.
So basically, he had Voldemort at the back of his head. So, and he's the Defense of the Dark Arts teacher, and Snape wanted to get his job for years.
Everyone thought it was Snape, but it was actually Quirrell.
Yeah.
Snape
But we come to know it only in the rising. All this climax happens when Harry is like going to be killed. That's a climatic moment. Now there's something called the next is a falling action. If there's a rising action, definitely there'll be a falling action, right? So there's something called the falling action. So it's there in the falling action. You have, oh dear. You come to know that Quirrell's mind is like overtaken by a Voldemort, and it's Voldemort who is behind it, and Harry and his friends, they in fact come to know everything, and they find they win over. I forgot what exactly. They destroy the stone, the Philosopher's Stone. That's a falling action. Okay. And towards the end, the last one is called, it's quite difficult a term to say, but it's called denouement. Right? I decided to tell you. Yeah. That is the resolution. Everything is resolved. Harry wakes up in the hospital, then he comes to know the entire thing. That's right. That's a resolution here. So Dumbledore comes, all the teachers come, and then they come to know. And now lots of things unraveled. Everything is resolved there. So this is a kind of pyramid-like structure. My pyramid's a bad pyramid, but it's like some writers create the perfect pyramid. Some writers do not make it perfect. Some people have the climax in the beginning and then the resolution towards the end. Some people write the resolution in the beginning and climax towards the end. But it depends. But usually, what happens is that writers like Rowling, fantasy writers, horror writers, etc., they use this kind of a format where, let me just write the other things of falling action, or it's also called resolution. Okay, so exposition is the introduction, then you have a rising action, you have a climax, have a falling action, you have the resolution. So within a story, when you're all of you are very talented people, so even when you're in fact creating a story in your mind, keep this pyramid somewhere very handy for you, because climaxes are very important in stories, or else it falls flat. Nobody will be interested in reading it, even if it's a very serious story, even if it's Kafka's, trial. You must have heard about Kafka, right? He was an Austrian writer, quite intellectual, very dark, brooding writing he used to use. Even Dostoevsky, okay, was a Russian writer. His stories are really nice. You really want to, sort of graduate your reading into the next level. But if you're 10, 11, 12, obviously you can take Dostoevsky up. You can read Kafka. Kafka is a bit too dark for you. But then Chekhov and Dostoevsky and writer's letters. Okay? Anyway, it depends on your time there. So did you get this? It's like you have an introduction, you have a rising action, have a climax, have a falling action, and then you have the resolution. And that's how it may sound difficult, but think about Harry Potter. Think about the stories in Harry Potter, all the series, it's the same. It's like there's a beautiful introduction, there's a beautiful rising action, there's an absolutely appropriate climax and falling action, denouement. Okay? So, yes, Arjun, you have a question?
Yeah. Wouldn't there be like what I've been told is that wouldn't there be a conflict, like a disagreement?
Yeah, conflict is the climax or the conflicts.
Oh.
There is a play, climax and conflict. These are words you can use intermittently.
Okay.
Okay. For example, I don't know if you've read Hamlet. So the climatic point in Hamlet is where Hamlet, sees his stepfather, right? Hamlet's story. Most of you, I just assume. So Hamlet was this prince of Denmark. Okay. If you go to Denmark, you have Hamlet's grave there still, and all these things are, but they don't look as mystical and all as the stories. Okay, so he was a prince of Denmark, and he gets back home and he finds that his father's dead, and his mother marries his father's brother. Okay, and mother and father's brother, they are living happily. With Hamlet gets all these, premonitions. Some ghosts come and talk to him, saying that his father was actually poisoned and killed by his stepfather, by his uncle. And Hamlet knows that it is his uncle and his mother. They were hand in hand, hand in glove together in this crime, and they killed his father. Okay, and he's upset about the entire thing, and he's just full of revenge. And he pretends that he doesn't know all these things, but he wants to, in fact, kill his stepfather, his uncle. And one day, when his uncle, his uncle is a king there, king of Denmark. Okay. Now, one day, when he sees his uncle in a very vulnerable position, he's about to kill his uncle, and that's a climatic point. But then again, he's actually riddled by a lot of, he's like so upset. He doesn't want to kill his uncle, and he doesn't want to, but then he wants to kill his uncle on the one hand, he doesn't want to kill his uncle on the other hand. So there's a kind of irresolution. He just cannot determine, kind of indecision from his part. A moment of indecision, he doesn't kill his uncle, but later on his uncle kills him. So that's that famous to be or not to be. That is the question. So that's a very famous Hamletian quote. That's a rising action. That's a climax. And Hamlet falters there at the falling action. You can see that Hamlet becomes mad, or his girlfriend dies, and then Hamlet is killed, and everything's like ends up in a huge tragedy. So one of those Shakespearean tragedies. So you can see that almost in 2000 years of telling stories, even when grandmothers used to tell stories through the oral narratives and all, they always use this exposition, give a very good introduction, the rising action, so that people will be really keen to know what exactly is going to happen, the climax, okay, where the real conflict takes place, and then the falling action and the entire resolution takes place. So people used to, in fact, I don't know if it was knowingly or unknowingly, but then they say in many people's cases like J.K. Rowling and all, they were definitely, they know this structure. So you should be aware of this structure. I don't know if you want to you can follow it or discard it, but you should know that there has to be a kind of, there's a kind of a format which you can either follow or not follow, but you should know it. All right. Any questions?
No.
No. And in the last class, I was telling you about show not tell series, right? So I'm going to give you some exercises. That's very, very important. That's like, see, it's like you have to tell the entire world that, not the entire world, you have to tell your story with visuals. You to, it's like you have to switch on a in a book. So you have to switch on the kind of audiovisual experience that you get on your mobile phone in a book, in print. And how easy or difficult is that? Do you think it's easy?
No, not really.
It's not difficult, but if you're very observant, if you can actually, look at people and study them, how do you, in fact, look at people and study them? What are the things that you notice when you see a person? I mean, there are no right answers, okay? I just want you to interrupt. What do you notice when you see a person for the first time?
Their face,
Face, yes.
how tall they are,
How tall, yeah.
general features like what color their hair is, what race are they.
All right.
Kind of depends on angle, to be honest.
Pardon?
Kind of depends on angle, to be honest.
All right.
Like, say if you're quite a bit taller than the person or quite a bit shorter.
Mm.
If you're looking at them from behind, you can only see their hair, not their face.
Yeah. Or if you're a child, all you can see is their knees.
Yeah, that's a very pertinent. That's a very pertinent question. If you're actually seeing that person from behind, then what do you notice?
Their hair, their build.
Yes. Will that person be still all the time? Would you notice the way she walks, or would you not notice the way she moves around?
I mean, if you're in like a museum and they're looking at a painting or whatever, then they'll be still.
Okay, yeah. Otherwise,
but you can notice their gestures.
Yes, it's very important. You see, it's like, okay, a person's appearance, her face, her height, her color, her hair, if she's fat or thin. Of course, we are talking about racism and body shaming and all. No, without such meanness, definitely. All these things matters, right? And then, obviously, the way the person moves around, the way the person walks, the way the girl looks at you, the way the girl walks, the way the girl gestures, or the way the girl's entire body language is. 60% communication is all through body language. Otherwise, it's just 5%. You'll be scratching your head. Whenever I'm watching you, I can see, you're adjusting your headphones. Um, sometimes you can yawn, sometimes you can scratch your head, sometimes you can suppress a smile, a smirk. All these things, unknowingly, it tends to appear on our face, on our body, and our body is talking all the time. Not just our body, everybody's bodies are talking and communicating all the time, and you have to be extremely observant. And that's why I'll give you a few exercises. Now you have to write and send it to me on chat or something like that, or you can tell me directly. but telling me it may clutter your voices. Okay. Now, I want to give you some
Sorry to
exercise.
interrupt, Babitha.
Yeah.
Vipin has been raising his hand for about 10 minutes.
Oh, I'm
Vipin,
so sorry,
Vipin,
Vipin. I
no,
didn't
it's okay, it's
know.
okay. You can't see
I
Vipin.
can't see.
Yeah, yeah. Vipin, unmute and ask your question.
Yeah.
You are muted, Vipin. Nobody can hear you.
Sorry, Vipin.
You have to unmute Vipin. Vipin, you are muted and nobody can hear you. You are still muted, Vipin. I can see you talking. Yes, now you are unmuted. Yes, go on, talk.
We can ask what the age is.
Yes.
What the age?
Yeah, you can write about the age, right? If it's a young person, then how would you write Vipin? If it's an extremely young person,
Mm,
you'll be looking at their eyes, the twinkle in their eyes, at the bouncy hair, right? The bounce in their walk. And if they are slightly older, they'll crouch and walk, perhaps. They may have a walking stick. Yes.
yeah, they
So all
might
these
have a
things,
walking stick if they were too old.
if they were too old, yes, then they'd have a walking stick. Otherwise, if they're middle aged like me, then they'll walk slow. I mean, right.
Yes.
And after, some kind of chicken guinea and all, they'll be crawling around.
Mm-hmm.
So all these things matter. And the way they scratch their nose and tuck their ears and, scratch their head. People say that when you're confused, you scratch your head.
Yeah,
Or
I
tuck your
sometimes scratch my head too.
Yeah, and especially when people lie, they say, yeah, people touch their nose, sometimes tuck their ears, and they blink a lot. They either don't blink at all, they'll just keep a very straight face trying to tell a lie, or else sometimes they'll blink a lot. These policemen, they use all these body language to detect liars and all. Okay, so there are
They
these
might
changes
speak
that,
a lot.
yeah, they may speak a lot. Breathlessly, they'll be speaking, oh, I went there and I came here and stuff like that, which is not normal speech. They'll have a normal kind of rhythm when they speak usually, right? But then when they're lying, the body language, it's like they speak quite a lot. Or they blink their eyes quite a lot. Or they just don't blink their eyes at all. Now, I'll give you a small exercise. This will be quite useful for you. Okay? Now, I want you to write five body language gestures when you're afraid and put it on chat. I'll give you a minute.
Okay.
This may look very silly, okay, but even the best novelists, they write it. They try to show everything through body language, and that's why you could say that you should show, not tell.
Mm-hmm.
Horror movies, horror tales, you will know, right?
Yes.
Yes, tell me.
I hate watching horror movies.
You're exactly like me. But still, when you get scared, what do you do?
I'll be afraid if I watch. I
Yeah,
won't be
when
afraid if I read.
yeah. If you say I'm afraid, that is telling. But how do you show you're afraid?
Is a bit scared that I don't want to look at it.
No, yes, you don't want to look at it. You close your eyes when you're
Yeah.
scared, right?
Yes.
That's the body language of getting scared.
Scared.
Okay, Alan says keeping to yourself. Yes, fine. Tell me, what else happens to your body?
Uh,
Just imagine you're
my
watching
body
some
was
horror.
my body will wiggle.
Wiggle,
Yeah,
shiver,
yeah,
shiver
shiver.
or shake with fear. All right, absolutely. Now, wait. Shaking and shivering, absolutely. Cold sweats, absolutely. Oh God, you just sweat all over. It's called cold sweat. And curling into a ball, yes, you tremble. You squeeze your eyes shut and cover your ears. And jumping at sudden
Yeah.
sounds. Yes.
I might
So the
not
next
jump, but
time when you
I
say
would
you're
be afraid.
pardon?
I might not jump, but I would be afraid.
Okay. High jump, high scream. Now what else? What happens to your hands and your fingers? Do they tremble when you're scared?
Yes.
My palms get sweaty.
Oh yes, hands tremble.
My eyes widen.
Oh,
When I watch horror movies, I always tell my dad to not put horror movies at night so I don't get scared when I sleep.
okay.
I always remember what I just saw on the television
Uh-huh.
and I won't sleep.
I don't like psychological horror movies.
Oh.
They're scary.
Yes,
No,
and
just don't think about
Maria,
horror movies.
and Maria, I know you are muted. Yeah, unmute and talk.
I love like real life like psychopaths movies because they're so realistic. Even though they make me scared, like I just still like it because they're just like this is actually happening, and then you don't know like how the brain is working, like while they're committing all these crimes or like why they can't like why they lacking like one social skill or something. So it's really cool to see their mindset and like how they take things in their perspective. So I love watching those movies. So yeah.
Brave girl. Oh my God. I really admire you. You're such a brave girl.
I
I think you should
always
do a lot of things. One
I
second.
always like watching funny movies so we can laugh.
Why? Just laugh. Okay, fine. I think Anne and Maria should do some psychological horror thrillers and all. You should write because if you like the feel of it, then you'll be more perceptive. Okay, and you can write a lot. And then a couple. Do you scream when you're horrified? Some
Yeah.
people do scream. Some people become cold and they just become still.
When you're
And
horrified,
you
you could just like
clench your
freeze
fist and
up.
all. Freezing, yes, you freeze. Your entire body freezes, and
Yeah.
your this thing, your knees shake.
You might bite your nails or something.
Biting nails, yes. Biting nails is usually when
Biting
you are
your
very confused or when
biting
you're
your
not
fingers.
biting your fingers. That's when you're not really confident, or you hold on to things. You clench something. If you have, you can clench onto your dress. All right. See, you look at it. You can break into cold sweats. You can shake and shiver. Your body can shiver. You can
You
curl
might
into a
stare
ball. You
at
can
it.
tremble. You can freeze. Yes. Give 1 second, Vipin. I'll just get back to you. You can breathe
You
fast. You
might
can
stare
shake
at it.
and shiver. You can look somewhere else. Pardon?
You might
Yeah.
stare at it.
You can speak. Yes, you can stare at it like horrified like that. Fine. So there's plenty of body language for one small thing, one word called being afraid or being scared. So next time When you want to write she was afraid, you should not write she was afraid. You have so many other things which can show that she's afraid. She can curl up into a ball and she can tremble, or she can squeeze her eyes shut. She can jump at sudden sounds. She can sweat all over. Her hands can
She might
tremble.
run around.
Oh, she can do that. You're so smart, Vipin. She can breathe fast. So
Her
will you
heart
write,
could,
I'm afraid?
her heart
Her
could
heart
pump
could,
faster.
yes, her heart could beat so fast. The next time, she's not afraid, but you have so many things to show that she's afraid. Okay?
Yes.
So next time, think, how will you show that somebody is happy? I'm happy. I'm so happy.
They will smile. They will laugh.
Oh yes, they will smile. They will laugh.
There'll be a tingle in their eyes.
They
Yes,
might
twinkle in the
fall down
eyes.
and laugh.
Ah yes, they'll do that. And when they walk around, how will they be doing that? They can be jumping around with happiness,
Yes.
Like hopping or skipping around.
skipping around. Yes.
They might be smiling at each other and laughing at each other.
Yes, smiling and laughing at each other. Wonderful. Then, and when you laugh, how do you laugh? Do you laugh like this tight-lipped smile, or do you show all your teeth?
Yeah, show all my teeth.
Yes. And when you smile, you smile ear to ear.
Yeah. Or you can just open your mouth and laugh.
Ah, yes. Oh dear, you have so many. See, you're so observant. How old are you, Vipin?
8.
Oh, 8. Oh my God. At 8, the way an 8-year-old looks at the world is so entirely different from 40-year-old like me looking at the world. So it's like, see, you can see every small things that we miss out. Yeah. Then, do you giggle uncontrollably when you're very happy?
Yeah. Sometimes you always laugh more than once. You might laugh at every time. When you see that, you might remember and you laugh again at the other time.
Oh, yes.
Another time.
Yes. You keep on laughing, right? Yes. You keep on
Yeah.
laughing. Then what else?
My mom done the same. When we were eating, I said a joke from my dad, and then my mom was laughing. I said it today, and my mom was laughing from the morning to the afternoon.
How did, okay, how did she laugh? Did she bend and hold her tummy and laugh like that? Or did she laugh? Did she throw her head back
She
and
was
laugh?
about to open her mouth, but she was actually smiling, only a bit opening her mouth.
Okay, okay. So she didn't want to offend your father by laughing out your joke. That's right.
Yeah.
But it's like some people's body shakes entirely. I used to have a friend who used to laugh like a cockerel. Like that he used to laugh. See, all of us have very strange ways of,
Mm-hmm.
acting it out, right? And these things are very important when
We
you write a
might
short.
laugh.
Yeah. And these small things are very, very important when you write your short story. These things don't look very important, but these things are very important. Okay?
Yes. Sometimes it
Now,
might be a very funny part, or it might be a bit funny.
sometimes can be very funny, sometimes it can be just a little bit funny. But anyway, laughter is something like you can always, your lips will be like up and, your face will be shining and your eyes will be twinkling, right?
Yeah.
And of course, you'll be jumping around. Some people bounce on their feet. Have you noticed? When they walk, they bounce on their feet. When you're very happy, received some very good news, and you're walking,
They might
like
wiggle on the sofa.
yeah,
They might wiggle on the sofa.
oh, they will wiggle. Yes, absolutely. Now the next thing is just think about, yeah. Anything else to add?
No.
So next time when you're saying happy,
Yes.
tell me. Gautam. Gautam,
Might be
Arun, Anne
saying
Maria, Anugraha, Alan.
when we are
Yeah.
happy, there'll be a tingle in our eyes. There'll
Yes.
be a smile on their face.
Pardon?
When we are happy, there'll be a tingle in our eyes and a smile in our face.
Right.
Or we might just pull our, we might we don't have no control of our head, just falling down now. We're still laughing.
Yeah. Uncontrollable laughter. Yes.
Yeah. Your hands might be wiggling every time.
Yes, wiggling. And sometimes some people clap their hands and throw their heads back and laugh.
Yeah. Doing that. Pulling behind.
We'll go to the next. Yes. Now, what's your body language how do you show you're sad?
We show our sad by crying or being afraid.
Okay. By crying or tears in your eyes.
We may not even communicate with others when they are asking.
Or you just become silence with silence. Then
We will just go down.
Kangana, and
We
Miriam.
were like standing, we
Alan,
might just fall
Arjun,
down.
Alan, everyone unmute. And Maria. Unmute. Amiel, unmute and then talk.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, some people hang their shoulders down and put their heads down and don't
Yes.
try not to socialize with anyone.
They hang their heads down
Keep pillow profile.
or stoop down, right? Stoop their shoulders. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Stoop
They
their
might be like this.
Yes. They do this.
They might cover their eyes like that.
Pardon?
They might cover their eyes if they're sad.
Their
They
eyes
cover
might be
their
very
eyes.
scared.
Not much.
They might be shaking their head very quickly.
When people are sad, they don't shake their heads quickly. They'll do that. They do shake their heads sadly.
Sometimes
They do
they
shake.
do like a
communicate.
yeah, and sometimes they like do like a really like blank and like emotionless stare. Like they've got like no emotion in their face. It's just like all really blank. You can't see anything.
Oh yes. Sadness also, it's like not so expressive all the time, okay? You don't have to look very sad, but then some people have that blank face, unemotional face, detached face. So that blank face is also kind of emotive of sadness. Yes. Yes. And when you walk, how do you walk when you're sad? Do you bounce
You
any?
walk very slowly.
Oh yes, you walk slow. How do you walk slow?
We walk slowly by looking behind.
Oh yeah, you can look behind and walk slow. Yes. Then don't you drag your feet when you're really slow? When you go to school, when you're really sad, your bag becomes a burden and you feel so heavy. So when you walk very heavy, it's like indicative of sadness. Dragging feet, walking heavy.
We might even be angry at others.
Anger will come to anger later. So what will be your voice like when you're very sad? Will your voice be normal or will it be squeaky and sad?
You might
Squeaky
have
and
a
sad.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'll give you a small example. Now, this is an adult example, okay? But I'm just going to uh, read it for you to know the kind of
Yes.
difference, okay,
Yes.
of telling versus showing. So now onwards, all kinds of emotions that you're not going to write about those emotions, but you're going to show those emotions. And it's very easy to show. Okay, this is like Mr. Jones was a fat, ungrateful old man with a tendency towards rudeness. He uses his walking cane to thump the ground as a way of letting his assistant know that he was rather unhappy with her again. So here he's fat, he's an ungrateful old man. So these are descriptions, these are all telling. With a tendency towards rudeness. Again, we are telling the story that he's very rude.
Yes.
He uses a walking cane to thump the ground. That's okay, we can hear that. And as a way of letting his assistant know he was rather unhappy with her. So he's unhappy with his assistant. One more time. So how would you tell them? Now here
Who
there's
told
plenty.
them angrily?
He was fat. How would you tell them in a story? How would you tell that in a story?
You
Use
might
all your
tell it angry.
use all your, yeah. He was fat and old. There's old and fat. Okay.
Yeah.
How would you
Old
show
and
that?
grumpy.
Pardon?
Grumpy.
Grumpy, yes. So Mr. Jones was grumpy. But then that does not tell you that he's fat.
He might have a big belly.
Oh, yes. You can say Mr. Jones struggled with his big belly. It's showing, right? You can get the picture of Mr. Jones struggling with his belly.
Yes.
And they say that, he was.
And he can't walk fast.
Yeah, then. So what do you say when people cannot walk fast? When people struggle with their weight, would you say is there a single
They
word for
limp.
that?
They limp.
Limp is like you have no energy left in you.
Maybe
What
they're
happens when people are struggling with their weight and they are just, struggling to walk with the weight?
They might be weak.
They are not. It's not weakness, but there's a particular word for that. One word for that. Hmm?
He's lazy.
No, not lazy. Think people who struggle to walk. One way, one word.
Old.
Old man struggling to walk.
Fat man.
Hmm? Hmm.
He's a very fat man that he can't walk.
How do you show he's a fat man?
We could say the oversized man struggled to
Oh
reach
yes,
places.
oversized man. But how do you write that he's struggling to move with his weight? Okay.
He was very slow.
Maybe he was walking unsteadily.
Unsteady gait or irregular walking. Walking
Hobbling?
Hobbling, yes, hobbling is when you have your feet hurt or something. When you're walking, you can say
He
that
might overeat.
Okay. Then
He might overeat food. Overeat.
Okay.
He's
Walking and
eating so much food every day.
okay. But
And
then
they
that's
can't digest very fast.
fine. Anyway, so that's about Mr. Jones, and I'll get back to. Sorry, I just lost. Okay, you can say stagger. He staggered on his feet with his big fat belly. Can't you say that?
He rolled with his fat belly.
Roll. Yes, that's a lovely image. So that he's like you feel like he's a big ball rolling. Yeah, that's a lovely image.
He had a fat belly and his head was very small.
Oh yes, your imagination is really running right. See, now, so he is an ungrateful old man with a tendency towards rudeness. How do you show he's rude?
He
Like
barks.
he's very mad at somebody.
Yes, he barks. He
Like
barks.
maybe.
Oh dear. He gets mad at somebody, he barks. His barks is barks is a nice thing.
He might be
He
angry.
might do an action like this on his head. His eyebrows go like this.
Oh, wait, let
Maybe
me see.
eyebrows
I can't see you now.
This.
I can't see you now.
Okay.
Yeah, Bipin. Yeah.
Your eyebrows might go a bit angry.
How does it go angry?
Like, yeah, you're about to stare at somebody.
What happens to your eyebrows? You lift your eyebrows. You lift one of your eyebrows. When you can't get back to Kerala, try to learn dance and Kathakali and all. Then you can see all those. You can actually move one of your. You can wiggle your eyebrows. You can move your eyebrows. Show different kinds of emotions on your face and all.
Yes.
Okay. Then, so see here, there's this person who's rewritten it. He says, Mr. Jones heaves himself out of his worn leather chair. So when he heaves himself, that is, you know that he's very fat. An old leather chair. He's using the old leather chair for years and years together. Shows he's an old man.
Yeah.
Okay. And using his old oak desk to steady himself, so that you know that he's again old and fat.
Yeah.
And he reaches across for his walking cane. Fat, old, walks unsteady. All right? So these things are there in one line. Mr. Jones heaves himself out of his worn leather chair, using his old oak desk to steady himself as he reaches across for his walking cane. Then he takes a moment to adjust his balance under the heavy frame, spreading his legs and wobbling in the direction of his assistant's desk outside his door. His arthritic knees pop and crack their objection under his weight. Pounding the floor with his walking cane, he spits out curses under his breath. Where's that dreadful girl? He thinks to himself. So you have seen this man, right?
His
Yeah.
his walking cue might break because he's too fat.
Oh dear. Maybe he is using a very strong walking cane.
We're all just raising a fictional character.
Huh. You don't have to hate that old man. You just have to describe him, okay? You may not like him for, calling his assistant a dreadful girl and all, but then you just have to describe. So, now for this, I want you to do something over the weekend. See, for angry gestures, you have to find 5 words, 5 descriptions, 5 showing descriptions. For nervous, for being nervous, you have to show 5 and send them to me if you have my email, or Google form will do. If you're excited, shocked, and embarrassed and shy. Oh, it's not shocked, it's shocked. Got it? Angry, nervous, excited, embarrassed, shocked, shy. So you will have to show me Mr. Jones in all these. Mr. Jones or Mrs. Jones or anybody. Okay, in all these different body language that you can envisage, you think of him or her, and then you write to me. You show that person to me. Will you? Is it difficult? Kangana, is it difficult?
No, it might be easy, but it might be a bit difficult.
What kind of thing is that? It's easy, but difficult. For you, it won't be difficult, Vipin. Emil, will you do that?
Yeah.
Aaron, Vipin?
Yes.
And Maria, Gautam? Anugraha hasn't talked at all.
Sorry.
Anugraha has got some technical issues.
Okay.
Anu, keep talking.
What shall I say?
Will you do this?
Yeah.
I was excited, shocked, embarrassed, shy.
Yeah.
Think of different things. Okay, don't Google. Just try to observe people and do it. When we come for the next, I'll give you a week or two. I'll give you a week. You look around. You look at people and you look at the way they behave. When they're nervous, how do they walk? When they're excited, how do they talk? You can even check TV. You can watch TV and you can look at the characters, how they express themselves. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
And try to come up with something different. That'll be nice. Try to put in your imagination into it. Okay.
Okay.
And now we'll have a small discussion time. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I'll try to answer as much as possible.
Yeah, everyone can unmute now. Gautam, I can see you are talking. Unmute and talk.
Oh, sorry, I was just talking to my brother.
Okay.
Who taught you all of these things?
Say again, Anu.
Who taught you like all of these things? Like, what age were you when you learned all of this?
I didn't get you, Anugraha.
Who taught you all these things?
Yeah, we learn it in creative writing classes. See, I have taken a lot of creative writing courses, and that's how I dare to speak and talk about it. So I'll tell you what happened. See, when I was writing in the beginning, my editor friends used to tell me you have to show but not tell. I mean, you have to show and not tell like this. I just went on describing things, okay, that he was angry and she was annoyed and she was walking very fast and things like that. I just went on describing, and my editor friends were saying you have to really, really tell. That is the entire secret. And then I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to show. Then I attended lots of classes in creative writing, and a breakthrough happened when I wrote my novel and I gave it for editing to a professional editor in UK. Okay, she's a British novelist, not very famous, but an amazing lady, who had done her. And she sat me down, I mean, on internet, and then she made me show things rather than tell. Then she told me, this is the way you do it. This is the way you show things. Then I kept reading up, and then in creative writing classes, I have this entire notebook full of all these small snippets of information, um, and I keep writing and preserving them. Then I have also taken this master class. This master class is slightly expensive. You can take it later on, maybe. Right now it will be too early for you. See, in master class, you have creative writing classes by Margaret Atwood, Margaret Drabble, and very big writers. They have other classes also. They have classes on everything. And they give us all these detailed technical information of how to go about writing. See, it's like all of us write, but to get the kind of technical direction, it's very, very important. That's how I managed to gather all these things, and um, yeah, with my personal experience.